Welcome back to Daily Encouragement. Bonnie and I are trying to do a quick video before Sammy wakes up. So if you see him suddenly appear, that's because he's woken up. We have no idea about what we're going to say. We've been trying to figure it out in the moment as we set up a few cameras. So I've got a question for you, Bonnie. She doesn't know what's coming.
Will I marry you? Already done that.
Too late. We were talking about something last night. I had written something a couple months ago, maybe a year ago, where I said you don't pack for where you've been, you pack on the journey for where you're going. And we were saying that prophetically last year we heard God very clearly say go on a trip, and we started to renege on that. And then what happened with that?
Well, then someone came along, Sean
Basson.
And because we'd planned the trip, we're going to go on it, we need this time away. Then that Sunday we both thought, no, we can't leave people. We felt responsible.
Me more so than you.
Yeah.
You were still pushing. But I was being disobedient.
But actually that Sunday I was thinking, maybe this is not the right timing.
Yeah.
And I was a bit on the back foot. And then Sean Basson comes, at the end of the message, he prophesies over us. He says, I see an RV, I see America, I see a tornado.
All things that you and I were talking about. Because we were planning an RV holiday, we were planning it to America, and we were talking about the fact that things were so boring and so ordered, and we didn't have enough chaos in our lives. That was the exact word we were using, and someone else prophesied at exactly the same time about chaos.
Yeah, and so Sean got really excited because Sean, you like to come from chaos to work it out and figure it out.
I like to come from order. I like my life ordered, but I like facing the impossible. I like facing things that need my effort. I don't want to face things that are already done, sorted and structured, and everyone's happy. When everyone's happy, I'm sad. When everyone's got it covered, I'm bored. I need to be in a pioneering atmosphere.
I mean, you're happy. I'm happy. No, I'm kidding.
So you're never happy.
No, I am happy. So your ears picked up because you heard chaos.
Yeah.
And then we heard RV. And we talked about an RV. We talked about we need to go to America.
Yeah.
And so instantly we knew, okay, I've got to do this. And I think that week we booked the ticket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we were then talking about this last night, and we were saying how everything is different. Some people are saying the new normal. There is no new normal. Nothing is going to be normal ever again. Everything has changed. And we were saying prophetically how last year, some of the shifts and transitions that we went through, that we almost didn't go on. We almost sold out. We almost went the safe route. We almost went the predictable route. We almost went the route we could feel people wanting to pull us in. Everyone was supportive, but we could feel there were certain things pulling on us and pushing us, certain responsibilities. All good things, but we almost didn't go through that transition ourselves. And remember the quote that I read last night, quoting myself, so arrogant, to quote myself, you don't pack for where you have been, you pack for where you're going.
Yes.
And so we went through all of those transitions. You gave up a job, a great job.
2 jobs.
You gave up your worship leader job, which was a great job, great position that's kept you for 10 years, over 10 years.
Yes.
But also the insecurity and the pain and the worry that came
letting go.
with having to let that go. I gave up certain responsibilities. I'm a very responsible person. If you give something to me, I'm going to look after it better than you will look after it. Yeah. And so we had to give up a whole pile of things and transition out of a whole pile of things. And only last night did it click. If we hadn't gone through those transitions, remember, pack for where you're going, we wouldn't have been able to capacitate to the degree that we have these new transitions that we've gone into.
That's right.
We transitioned the day that we left for America. We were in America for 2 months. We signed a contract. The day that we left. I literally went to the landlord, signed the agreement, and then went to the airport immediately. I didn't even come back home. I didn't even pack to come back home. I packed for the airport and signed the contract on the way out. And that transitioned not just our business, because we were upgrading our office to 10 times the size, 11 times the size, but it transitioned the church. We didn't know it yet, but we would be leading the church. We're now the pastors, pastoring. And now that church that we lead which we weren't leading at the time, is now meeting in that very location. We had no idea that was going to happen.
That's right.
But we followed like this prophetic scent. It wasn't like, God gave us a moment and we saw the angels and the trumpet blow. We just knew instinctually we need to close the door on the old so we can, we didn't even think so we can open the door on the new. We just heard, get out, close down, shut up shop.
We heard the time is done.
It's
and
done.
That meant on a number of levels. But we heard the time is done.
And we kept, every time we looked at a problem, or we looked at an issue, or we looked at a relational problem, or we looked at a business constraint, the only answer we could come up with is done. It's done. And all the good things, because there were so many good things, a lot of the good things have come through the transition. Whenever we looked at those things, we just knew it's done. It's done. And so when we went through that transition, we gave up everything. And whilst we were in America, we constantly were saying, could we live here? Could we live here? Whilst we traveled through Canada, could we live here? We were so aware that the old was done that we were looking for where God was bringing us.
Yes.
And we were open. We love Hong Kong. We've always loved Hong Kong since we've been here, since we knew about it. But so we weren't looking to leave. We just knew that the time was done, and we were submitting ourselves to whatever God was going to do in the new season.
Yeah, and we didn't know what that new was, but we just knew that the old was over, and that we couldn't even try and orchestrate or figure out or even have bits of the old. We needed a clean slate.
Yes.
And every day we were questioning. We were waiting for God, in a sense, to speak. It
was so real, I was even thinking, God, am I about to die? Like, are you wrapping up my life so that I can leave the planet without burdening anyone else? That's how clear it was. So that's why when we left when we left Hong Kong, it was like, well, God, it was so real to us.
Yeah.
We were prepared to go anywhere, to do anything, to meet random people for an opportunity to arise where God says, go, I want you to go through that door.
Yeah.
And so when we came back to Hong Kong, we had never received so much honor than the Sunday we came back to Hong Kong from church, and people loved us and gave us gifts. We'd never received so much honor.
We felt embarrassed, like that we had so much attention and honor. Like it was actually uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I haven't felt that honored in the whole time.
In church.
In my life, no.
But here's the funny thing. It was so real, and we loved the people, and we appreciated that.
Yes.
But we knew that honor was coming from the old place.
Yeah.
And we had already packed up. We had already sold out. We had already got rid of that baggage, and so we weren't carrying that same capacity anymore. And so, whilst we loved the people and we appreciated it, it felt empty. It was a weird feeling. We walked away from church that Sunday going, "Wow, that was wonderful." And yet it doesn't have any gravity. It doesn't have any hold. It doesn't feel like much because we had already made a shift over those 3, 4, 5 months of frustration and questions and God, what do we do? And getting a word, but then almost reneging on the word and then following through because of a confirmation word.
Yeah.
And then the transition that happened in those transitions. That old, even the good stuff, this is what's so important.
Yeah.
Even the good stuff from the old didn't hold weight.
That's right.
And so if we hadn't gone through those transitions and obeyed God, even though, let's be honest, we almost didn't.
Yeah.
We're not these holy, wonderful people.
It wasn't for Sean, the best one. Thank you, Sean.
We felt like that. I mean, from the outside, it looks like that was such an encouraging thing, but it was a slap on the bum. And if we didn't transition through that, those small little decisions, those small little opportunities, we would not have been positioned for where we are with business, because we're seeing incredible blessing at the moment.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been positioned for the blessing that we have in church. We would still be in an old location. We're paying more than double in rent. We've halved our rent by moving to the building that we signed for on the day we left for the 2-month holiday.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have seen all of that blessing. We would still be struggling on the old ship, on the old boat, with old problems. And God said to us in December, even though He was positioning us throughout the year, and He positions you all the time. You're always being repositioned, but just some things are more dramatic than others. God said to us in December, I am not bringing just updates to your software. I'm not just bringing little incremental changes, little security patches. I'm not just bringing upgrade where you're going to go from one form of like one car to the next car. I'm not just bringing little changes or little freshenings to the old thing. I'm bringing upsets.
Yeah.
And that he's going to change the whole environment, where you go from a crappy old car, an old skudunk, to a great car, a little zippy Ferrari. He's not just bringing that sort of change. He's bringing a change of transport where you no longer operate by vehicles, but now you operate by flight.
Yes.
And that's the change that we're in now. And I was saying to Bonnie last night, if we hadn't gone through those transitions and been obedient, like many people listening, the same transitions that you've been through, the same little words that you've been through, the same insignificant dreams or little intuitions that you've transitioned through, you wouldn't be positioned for what God is doing on the planet today. And I believe what he's doing, and this is what I want to, the question that I asked all the way at the beginning, was what is God doing now? What is he doing?
Well, like you said, he's upsetting.
I think the upset's here.
I think it's happened, and now it's the ramifications of that.
True.
Because we were saying last night, I hear people saying, once the corona's finished, then we'll get back to life. That's who knows when that's going to finish, if it's going to finish, but whether it does or not, life has changed.
It's done.
And what you're saying, we've got to get rid of those old mindsets and look forward to what is God doing, what is the new.
Yeah.
And I think he's upset everything. I think he's shaken things, and it's made some people insecure, but it's also pushed you to a place where you got to find security in God. You got to. It's very exposing time, because it's now where are you putting your roots?
Yeah.
Where is my foundations? And I think for a lot of people, maybe you think, well, I'm on sand. I haven't built foundations.
That's right.
But it's exciting.
Well, Jesus used that exact analogy when he said, let me tell you what a wise man is like. He is a man who heard my words and did them. And then he brought out the analogy of building either on the rock or on the sand. Yeah. But he starts out with a definition of wisdom. Wisdom is not a superior intellect or a heavenly intellect. That's not what wisdom is. Jesus defined wisdom as someone who heard his words and then did them. Let me tell you what a wise man's like. Someone who listened to me and did what I said.
Simple, right?
That is building on the rock. Last year, we had every opportunity, and there were easier choices to build on the sand, to build on other things, other opinions, and more importantly, old mindsets and old frameworks, old systems, old patterns. We had the opportunity to build on that. In fact, to a degree, we were already built on that.
Yes.
And when God made the shift, we had to listen to the shift, and in that, we started to build on rock to a greater degree, so that we're positioned for this new season.
And one of the, I think, results of that is when we were in America, we said, when we go back to Hong Kong, we are different people.
Amen, sister.
I think people have viewed us in a certain light, and we've been in a certain way.
Doesn't matter.
But we're going to come back in and be who we are.
Yeah. I think because it doesn't matter what other people think, and the greater the degree, and we still feel that because we're children, we're immature babies. We don't know what we're doing. But as you mature and you grow and you get more secure, that matters less. But I think it's helpful for others to see you in good light, because it helps them to come along on and partake in your journey.
Yes.
So it's the degree to which we stop caring negatively what other people think about us.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to say is that we're operating more in who we are, who God has made us. It's not trying to please people. It's not trying to do the right thing. It's operating who we are, and then the overflow is blessing others, and whatever that result is.
Yeah, I think this is what actually, because when we were discussing what can we say, we didn't know what we were going to say. This is one thing you wanted to bring up. When you start operating blessing, you get opposition.
Yeah.
And so this wasn't so much your problem, this was more my problem. When I am really good at something and someone else isn't, I will play down my skills, I'll play down my ability, I'll play down the wins that I have. I'll even lose on purpose so that others can feel like they win, because then I start to feel insecure or weird, it's a weird thing where I don't want to look like I'm winning in front of other people, because I want other people to feel good.
Yes.
And not all of that is good. It's insecurity. And so when we came back from America, I really challenged myself to be, because you're much stronger in this than I am, to be who I am, to not try and belittle or quieten down or stand at the back or shut up or just do the sweeping, to actually stand up.
Yes.
And actually more people benefit from me being who I am than me trying to mute and tone down and be quiet.
That's
and
right.
the truth is, I don't have people who don't like me. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but it's not an everyday thing, and I don't live with their consciousness.
Yeah.
But then I do all these weird actions to mute who I am.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And so that's part of the shift that's been for us personally, is us coming out of our. It's not coming out of a shell, because I'm not in my shell. It's in that sense. It's like this
confidence.
It's desaturated. It's take all the color out of the picture so that others don't feel like your color's encroaching on them. It's because they're insecure. I'm being insecure about other people's insecurities.
Yeah, that's right.
And so all of those shifts, there's many other shifts. The biggest shift for us, I'd say, beside from the spiritual one, has been Sammy. That's the biggest shift. We talked about 6 transitions at church the other day.
Yeah.
The biggest shift for us has been Sammy.
Yeah.
We've had a big shift.
Our life's changed.
Anyone who's had kids, it's a completely different thing.
I almost don't remember what life was before Sammy, because it just changes everything. It's amazing.
Don't cry.
I'm not crying. I'm reining it in.
So our encouragement is wisdom. Our encouragement is when you hear God say something, do what he says. No matter how risky it is, no matter how weird it sounds, no matter how radical people say it is,
that's right.
You have to turn all those other voices down, and when you hear what God says, you do what he says. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of man will take you away from wisdom, because you're more worried about what they say. Yeah. You've got to be incredibly fearful, worried about what God says, because that's the beginning of wisdom. Then you start to do what he says. Not in a way that he's going to punish you if you do the wrong thing, but in such a reverence and an awe you're so beholden to the weight of his words that when you do what he says, that he positions you for greater and greater blessing. And if we didn't do that, a whole lot of people would have been maybe not in trouble, but they wouldn't have been as well as positioned as they are now, including ourselves.
Yeah.
So whilst we benefited greatly from those transitions and from that obedience, other people have benefited too. Yeah. And that's where the maturity of the blessing comes. It's how well do you handle the blessing. That's maturity, so that you can bless others. That's right. So we want to encourage you, listen to God. As simple as that sounds, as basic as that sounds, that is wisdom. That is the height of wisdom, is hearing his words, and do that, and you'll see the blessing flow through your life. God will position you for great things. He'll ask you to sacrifice things, but he, like Abraham, who received a son back from the dead, you will receive nations upon nations.
Yeah, it's good. I like that.
Why don't you just do it?
I don't have enough content.
That's what I'm worried about. You're going to say one idea and then I've got to build on it.
I see you running away. Thank you, Sean. What are we talking about?
I don't know.
Okay, you said just free fall, so how do you free fall?
Free ball.
I'm in a free fall. It's behind the scenes. We were discussing what we're talking about.
Okay, I've got one.
Alright.
I've got something.
Okay.
Welcome back to Daily Encouragement.